faces etched with sweat, their hearts aglow. Industrial souls forged in fire's embrace. Their lives entwined with skill's relentless pace. In factory steps, where engines hum and roar, they find solace in the work they so adore.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Industrial Souls. Today, my guest is going to be Allie Baker with Flow Control Group, and she is the marketing manager there, and we have a long history, actually, me and Allie, so we may get into some of that. She actually manages a lot of different brands for that company, and we're going to hear a little about her story and semi-recent events in her life, and we're going to get to know her a little better, and you're going to love her because she's super fun. So hang on, because things are about to get industrial. Hey, Allie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I was just jamming out to the little intro music.
I know, I'm always jamming. I'm like, I've heard it like a million times already, but still, it's kind of got a groove.
Hear it in your dreams at night.
I find myself humming it, like walking down the hallway, like dum 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 dum. So yeah, it's kind of catchy. But anyways, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to do it. So just a little background from my point of view, just to fill the people in, and then I'll ask you to give your whole whatever background you want to tell. But me and you go way back to what, 2018 or something. I don't know, 17. I don't remember when you started.
It's a blur.
And we used to work together, and that was a ton of fun. And I'll probably talk about this later in the show, but actually watching you kind of come in cold and learn marketing and then go off and be an industrial marketer, and now you're managing marketing at a company, an industrial company with a whole bunch of sub brands. I just got to start out by saying I feel like a proud uncle or something like that who watched his niece grow up and go off and become a professional. So I'm proud of you. I just want to tell you that it's cool to watch.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like you were a huge support system and helped me learn so much early on. So yeah, I owe a lot of it to you.
You don't, but thank you.
But I will anyways.
On that note, why don't you tell the people out there in TV land a little about yourself and kind of your story and how you did get started and what you're doing now. Give us a background.
Yeah, for sure. So yes, I have been in industrial marketing for, I don't even know how many years now. I have lost track of time, to be completely honest, but I did start.
That.
I started with an internship working with John. So back when I was in college, I was working part-time for him, kind of coming in, brand new into industrial marketing. I was studying advertising, and I definitely at that time had no intentions of, pursuing industrial marketing of all things. And I think even you and I had a conversation early on, just kind of about, what are my goals with my career? Where do I see myself in 5 years? And I think I told you, like, not here, not doing industrial marketing.
Anywhere else but doing this.
Yeah, not this. And you were just kind of like, well, that's good because you're in Ohio, which is, drowning in industrial marketing. But I think working with our team that we had together showed me that it's actually interesting and fun. And obviously that stuck because I continued to pursue it. I'm doing it now and I love it. I'm glad I stayed on course and gave it an honest chance. I really can't imagine doing more of the like B2C type stuff. So yeah, this is where we are today. I'm happy. You helped me hang in there, see it through, and here we are. And yeah, I do love it. It's fun,
Yeah, it's
surprisingly.
not, I know it's not what you expected. It's funny because there's so many stories I could tell, which are like the God, anything but this, and then you end up going into this. But I know it's not what you were expected, what you expected, but yeah, you came in and you embraced it, and no, there's something about industrial marketing that's kind of interesting because it's complex
It is.
and yeah, there's more to it. I think there's so many different facets to it. So, where you are currently, tell us about that company and your role and what your day to day duties are like there. What you're doing.
Yeah. So I manage several brands, I manage their marketing efforts. And it's really interesting. I think it's really unique to get to work with so many different people from so many different backgrounds.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's a challenge, obviously, juggling several different brands, but it's challenged me to learn how to prioritize and kind of, I don't know, see things from a different perspective, not give everything such urgency as, I initially want to do. That's kind of my gut reaction is to take something that's requested and just do it. So that's definitely been something that I've had to learn here is, not everything needs done right this minute. But no, it's been fun. It's like I said, I work with all kinds of different people, all kinds of different backgrounds. And I mean, I'm a people person. So that's been the fun part for me is
Mhm.
learning from people, not just on a professional level, but even getting to know people on a personal level has been really fun. And in this kind of role, no day is the same. So, um, I don't know, every day's a little bit different, and I have the chance to kind of work on all kinds of different things. It's not like I'm just sitting there doing social media all day, or I'm just
Right.
sitting there, combing through websites all day. I really get to kind of stick my hands in a little bit of everything, which has been really fun. And it's been a great way to figure out what it is that I am passionate about with marketing and, you know, has helped me kind of maybe get a little more direction of where I see myself down the road, what I see myself doing. Um, but it's also kind of made me a more well rounded marketer because I've gotten to kind of tap into a little bit of everything. So, yeah, it's challenging, but it's fun. I wear a lot of hats, but I actually really love that about this role.
I just want to say real quick, if you're out there listening and you have any questions for Allie or just want to say hi, feel free to drop something into the comments. Something I did want to ask you about was managing brands through acquisition. So I know there can be sensitive topics there, but just in a general standpoint, because I've done this too, and it can be challenging.
Mhm.
I'm wondering what you think was, say, for instance, without having to share any specific details that you're not comfortable sharing, what would be something that was a challenge that you might have gone through in merging new brands under like a bigger brand umbrella, like you've got a parent company that buys another company. Dealing with that is challenging. So I'm curious, as much as you can, what's like an example of something you learned through that process, like a challenge that you faced and how you uh, overcame it, and something that might be educational for somebody else who's facing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of right off the bat, something that I kind of think about is I don't know, now you have a whole new set of people who you kind of have to earn their trust. You kind of have to get to know these people and kind of build a relationship from kind of ground zero. And I
Mhm.
think that, I mean, I feel like that's the key to being able to do any kind of successful marketing for a brand is having that initial trust and good relationships with people. So that's definitely a big challenge, but like I said, that's also one of my favorite parts of the job is getting to know these people, getting to connect with these people, and um, kind of just prove that like I can help you. This is going to be great. This is going to work. And yeah, so it's a challenge, but it's also kind of a fun challenge.
So, what are some specific things or specific ways you might have met people's like concerns? Because I know just from experience, there's a lot of concerns and questions and fears when one of these things happens, and sometimes marketing is part of the I guess communications team that's dealing
Mhm.
with this. I don't know if that's true in your instance, but for those people who you're talking about, how have you, what's something that you've done that, has helped you in those, through those situations?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just takes honesty. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all just humans. So I don't think you have to, pretend to be perfect 100% of the time. So I think it takes a lot of honesty about just the trial and error of marketing. But also, I don't know, I know just kind of dialing it back a little bit in my career, there were times that I felt a little overwhelmed just because I'm like, when we're talking about different products, when I'm talking to salespeople, I'm like, I am not talking your talk. Like, you need to explain it to me like I'm kind of a third grader because it's a little bit to understand. And I think the same can be said for marketing. And so that's something I try to keep in the back of my mind too, is that these people who are new and that we're starting to work with, they're not necessarily marketing experts. So
Right.
I think along with just being honest with them, also just kind of having that, I don't know, kind of recognizing that I want them to understand what I'm talking about. I want them to not learn about marketing, but I want to be able to at least explain to them in a way that makes sense so they feel like not only can they trust me, but they actually know, what we're talking about when we are discussing marketing for their brands or marketing, campaign performance, that kind of thing.
Yeah. One thing I know I have found is that it's important to communicate what you're doing or what's changing before, during, and after basically this whole process with people when you're doing something like an acquisition and changing things. You tell people things are going to change so that it's not like surprise, things
Yeah.
have changed, and then during it you're communicating how they're changing, and then afterwards you're saying, okay, this is what changed. uh I feel like you almost can't over communicate. And at one point we even had whole letters, emails like pre-written, that it was like, okay, here's what's going to change, we're going to send this to this group, send this to that group, this is how the sales is changing, this is how what are your thoughts on that? Have you encountered anything like that at your current role?
Um, a little bit, maybe not as, prominent from my point of view. That goes a little bit
Mhm.
above me, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely lots of change that needs to be communicated, but also at the end of the day, I think for me, when I'm being introduced to these people, meeting these people, I also like to keep in the back of my mind that like, yes, this is business. There's lots of business conversations happening during this moment, but for me, I want to kind of bring the human element to it too and
Yeah.
take the time to introduce myself, get to know these people. And I think that's kind of where the trust kind of starts and where like the relationship kind of starts to where, we can work together and it becomes just a really smooth working process from that point. So I know that's just kind of what I always default back to is trying to remember like, yes, business is business, but at the end of the day, we're all also humans. And so I think there needs to
Yeah,
always be that human element to make any of it work.
that is a great point. Um, that is actually super important in any communications, but especially in a communication that might be in a situation that is sort of stressful. And acquisitions are a stressful situation. Even if you're everything is exciting on one level, but a lot of people have a lot of questions, and that's stressful. Yeah, being human, being approachable, not being invisible, not the voice of Oz coming down from above, just dictating things, but that humanity and approachability and personality and all of that is actually critical, because then it just feels like, oh, we're on the same team. You're just another
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. And I think that same kind of sentiment even applies to what we do in industrial marketing. I think
Does.
sometimes over the course of, the past decades or whatever, we've kind of lost that human element. And I think now more and more we're trying to see that human element brought back into industrial marketing, versus being super robotic. Because yes, I mean, there are, personas we go after, there are job titles we kind of target in our marketing, but at the end of the day, those job titles are still just people. And so that's another thing, another goal of mine has been, whenever I'm creating marketing content, just trying to remember, like, at the end, it's going to be a person viewing this. And that kind of guides, all of the content I create and really everything I do.
That's a great guiding principle, because I think it is super important in industrial marketing, and in any kind of marketing. But when you're doing things kind of at scale with lots of different kind of stakeholders and different departments, and complex sales process that takes years, it can stop seeming like it's just people talking to other people making decisions about how they want to spend money. And it feels like corporates and departments and all of this. But the human element is actually super important. And that's actually the principle behind why I even do this show. It's just to highlight the human element in the industrial space. It's not just the industry that has this challenge, but it's really everywhere. And as marketers, it's something we are trying to counteract. One thing that you had talked about, and I can imagine is a challenge with all the different brands that are underneath the umbrella that you're trying to manage, and you touched on it briefly, is competing priorities. So I just want to
Mhm.
kind of drill in there just a little bit, because that's something I think almost every marketer struggles with on some level, especially if you're like the marketer at some organization,
Yeah.
and you don't have a team or something. But even if you have a team, you're struggling with this, is managing priorities. So how do you manage all the different priorities from all these different brands? What's your system, if you have a system?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I'm a little bit of a crazy person when it comes to my level of organization, but can never be too organized, I guess. Maybe not. But um, I kind of keep several different lists. So I have kind of a big planner on my computer where everything that's going on is in that list. And it's kind of grouped into different buckets on, priority, or if it's something I'm actively working on. But all of my projects kind of go into that planner. And then I have, my weekly planner where every day I can kind of look at what's going on and start to kind of prioritize, like pick a few things that, like, this is what I'm going to focus on today. Because I think if I don't, then it just becomes too scatterbrained and nothing really gets done if you can't just pick a few things to focus on. Um, and again, I mean, part of it also does go back to having good relationships with everybody I work with, being able to tell people what if a request comes in, kind of just being able to tell people, like, this is on my radar. I have some other things I need to do right now. And they trust that it's going to get done, and it's going to get done, in a timely manner. It might not be done today or tomorrow, but it's going to get done. So having that kind of just open, honest communication with really everybody I'm working with has kind of put me in a position where I'm able to prioritize a little bit better and not just, wing it every day.
Real quick, we got a couple of comments that came in. Chris Bailey, we used to work together with him at Brennan, saying, "Hey, it's been a long time. Probably good to see you." And then Priscilla, who was just on the show last episode, chiming in with a comment this episode. Priscilla, get off my show. Save some of the screen time for other people.
You
No, I'm
had your
kidding.
moment, Priscilla.
Oh, totally kidding. She says, Allie, what product category has seemed to have the most success? And is that due primarily to the marketing strategy you put in place? which we know, of
I
course,
mean,
it is.
obviously, no. Well, most of the brands that I am working with are kind of in the compressed air and vacuum space. So um, we're kind of just working in that kind of product category. We have had, several different marketing campaigns for these brands, but I mean, certainly that is not the sole success of these brands is not coming from the marketing campaigns, but I really do think it's coming from the good working relationships between sales and marketing and being able to sit down and come up with, a real strategy, a real plan to market these products. And it doesn't feel super siloed, which, I think at some companies it does between sales and marketing. You start to see kind of those silos being created. But I think being able to kind of break through that a little bit has really been what has made these products and our marketing successful.
I just want to switch gears now that
Yeah.
we talked about Priscilla's question. I want to switch gears back to priorities because there's
Hmm.
some other priorities that you've recently been juggling, which is that 6 months ago you had a baby.
I
So
did.
you're a new mom, and you're a new mom in 100% work from home scenario, managing 13 plus brands. That honestly, that sounds like chaos to me personally, you know. But first of all, congratulations, which I've already
Thank
said
you.
multiple times, but on the show officially, congratulations.
Thank
Um,
you.
why don't you tell us a little bit about balancing that priority as a new mom?
Yeah. It's been, I mean, just the last 6 months in general have been a whirlwind. I think,
I
having
bet.
a baby kind of comes in and shakes up every aspect of your life, personal, professional, you name
Mhm.
it. So yeah, it's been, I think initially coming back from maternity leave, I kind of felt like, what am I going to do? Because, even when someone else is helping out watching the baby, your brain is still, how's my baby doing? Always
Right.
thinking about it. So yes, it's definitely the most scatterbrained I've felt, but, you know, I do work with a lot of people who they get it, and they've been a really good support system. And also, just on a personal level, there's lots of people who have been a great support system, who have been there to help, who have kind of been there in panic moments where I just need an extra set of hands. We are, grateful to be able to send him to daycare as well. So that's a bit of a recent move for us, which has also kind of been overwhelming and stressful in its own right.
Right.
But it's kind of those days that he's not home has given me a chance to kind of step back and, um, I don't know, have time to myself, but then also have time to kind of sit and dedicate, you know, brain power to work and not have to sit and worry about him all day, even though, I mean,
Right.
naturally it still comes up in your mind
You
throughout the
can't
day
stop. You
periodically.
can't help thinking about the little bugger, right?
No, I know. They're so cute. It's just always on your mind. But no, I mean, really, it's just our kind of just our people, both professionally and personally. I don't think, I mean, they say it takes a village, and I think going back to work is where you're like, absolutely, it does. It takes several villages to make this work. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, again, there's, the people I work with, they've been through it. They've had kids of their own. They get it. And so it's been nice to have people to, have candid conversations with. And yeah, we found a way to make it work. That doesn't mean it hasn't been stressful and it hasn't been chaotic, because it definitely has in moments, but
Right.
you make it work. That's just part of being a mom. You make it work.
Yeah, it is, and a dad too. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, and not only are you balancing all these competing priorities with your kid, but you are also at home with your kids. So I think this is kind of like, actually, this is the dream scenario that you were hoping for, because you have a kid and you want to be there as much as you can, and you've got to work and da da da. A lot of people don't get a chance to work from home 100%. Actually, it sounds like every time I've talked to you about your company that you work for, the people that you work for, it sounds like they're very supportive, understanding, and flexible. But you have this ability to work 100% work from home, which I also enjoy that freedom, and it is pretty life
Absolutely.
changing. Yeah, just today, I just had lunch with my son. You know, it's just like everyday occurrence to be able to just go in the kitchen and you're in there and you have lunch together. And I remember the days of not being able to do that, but that's also something that you enjoy. But that can be a challenge for some people. So, I mean, have you found it difficult adapting to working 100% from home? And I don't know, what would you say has been the biggest challenge or the biggest benefit to you of the whole 100% work from home situation?
Yeah, no, I love working remote. I think for my personality type, it works well. If I'm in an office surrounded by people, I'm going to want to chat with these people, and vice versa. People want to start up conversations, and which is great. But I think working remote honestly has, made it possible to juggle so many things because there's so fewer distractions just on a day to day basis. I'm not spending half my day just talking with people. I'm actually able to sit down and get so much done, which is completely necessary when you have, so much going on at any given moment. So I love it. And sometimes I miss, having people to talk to, but I think it's nice using Teams to be able to kind of chat with your own teammates. Um, but also, I feel like, there's plenty of meetings, plenty of calls to be able to chat with people. And I feel like with the people I work with, we do kind of have, just that personal conversation in the beginning before it's not just strictly business all the time, which has been nice. So I really think that the whole setup is really the best way and really the only way that this could work for me to be able to stay focused and actually get things done.
Yeah, it's a major blessing. I think personally, some people
Yeah.
struggle with it and like the office time, and I understand that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
not for everyone.
personally like the work from home time, and you are pretty fun to talk to, so I could see how that would be a challenge, that people just constantly stopping by your office or cubicle or desk or whatever and saying, "Hey, Allie, how's it going?" And you can't get any
Yeah.
work. Is that what
Yeah.
that's what happened when you worked for me and why you never got any work done, isn't it?
I just
That this
never
is the
did
reason.
anything.
Yeah,
You were always coming to my desk. No.
yeah. But one thing that we had talked about and you had brought up was kinda like the challenge of kinda being a new mom and life, changing in, uh, I don't wanna say losing a little bit of yourself, but kind of rediscovering maybe your
Yeah.
life. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I think, it does completely change your life. And I don't want to say that you lose yourself in the process, but you do change. Everything changes, the way you think, the way you see the world, the way you interact with the world. I mean, everything changes. So this has been a period of kind of getting to know myself all over again, figure out now that I've had 6 months to kind of absorb this new identity as a mom, kind of stepping back and trying to figure out, like, okay, so who am I outside of that too? Because you do need to have, your own identity. Granted, you're a parent all the time, but you still need to have some kind of sense of self. And that's hard, especially in the early months of having a baby because you are needed 100% of the time by that baby. Um, so yeah, we're starting to get to a point where now I'm kind of just looking at my life, looking at, what makes me happy outside of my family, whether that's, cooking or going to yoga, stuff like that. So it's a it's a journey for sure. Still figuring it out, but it's been good. And again, having just a good support system in my
Mhm.
personal life has made that possible. People willing to step in and help us, and babysit, or I don't know, just give us a chance to have a life outside of parenthood as both a couple and as individuals too.
Yeah. No, that's super important. It's a huge change. That cliche phrase, having a baby changes everything. That's one of those
Does.
things that you hear your whole life. It's a cliche, but until you actually have a baby and experience the fact, you don't know what that means. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I've heard people say that, and I get that to a degree, but then you have a baby and it does literally change everything. It's like it alters your DNA, I feel like, because it
Yeah.
changes your perspective. It's not only changes your circumstances, it like changes you, and the way you see things is forever different. It's actually that actually also happens at marriage, but I think having a baby is just like, it's like another
Oh yeah.
level of change, and it's just like, whoa, my entire life
Yeah.
is changing, my all my priorities are changing, what I care about is changing, and what's important, and those are all super fundamental things that affect your whole life and everything you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, before having kids, you kind of get to just be selfish. I mean, even if you're married, like, yes, you have your spouse to consider, but you still really get to do whatever you want to do. And then, quite literally, overnight, suddenly it's like now your whole everything is just devoted to this one tiny little human. Um, and then months of doing that kind of go by, and now you're like, I don't know how to do anything for myself anymore. You go from kind of this selfish, not in a bad way, but this kind of selfish mentality in life to like, I don't know how to do something for myself anymore, which is it's difficult. It's a challenge, but we're getting there. Again, I don't think I could do it without all of the people in my life, but we're getting there. We're learning.
Here's
Thanks,
one of the
Chloe.
people here's one of the people in your life who says you're a rock star mom and marketing manager.
Yes.
LL.
Yeah, Chloe and I
Priscilla
worked
also,
together. She was great.
yeah, Priscilla also chimed in and said sales and marketing collaboration is huge. That was back when we were talking about other things,
Um,
but I didn't click her comment, Priscilla, so forgive me for that, but brought it up now. But yeah, like that, this is a major change. You start saying, okay, my life's entirely different. We go from mostly self-oriented singles to self-oriented couples. Then you have a baby, and then that changes everything. You become family oriented, but as a parent, your personal identity gets so sucked up into that that you can actually almost lose it or come close to it. And then 20 years later, when they start moving out, which is the phase that we're in now, as your kids are getting completely grown up, you start you realize you've almost forgotten what it means to be like a couple by yourselves and what
mhm.
it means to be an individual. And you're rediscovering all of that. It's like
Yeah.
this massive circle, but these are all of life's key and super challenging, but also ultra rewarding moments.
Yeah.
It's interesting how rewarding just having your family, which is kind of such a basic biological thing and such a basic building block of society and life, and but how fundamental it is to our identities and our life and all of our motivations. It's there's almost nothing more profound, I think, on earth, in my personal
No.
opinion.
Yeah, no. It's become my favorite thing. It's, being a mom, obviously nothing has been easy about it, especially in this kind of 6-month period with him. It's definitely had its ups and downs, but at the end of the day, I would do all of it over again. Even the hardest moments, there's even a kind of insane part of me that looks back and I'm like, I kind of miss like sitting there with a baby every 2 hours at night just because he needed me. And it's insane how much like you need to be needed once you become a parent. And then he starts sleeping through
Yeah.
the night and I'm like, as much as I love my sleep, quit growing up.
Yeah, do not even get me started on the whole bittersweet experience of children growing up. That is,
Not ready.
yeah, it is the definition of the word bittersweet, I think. But we are not going to go there because I don't want to cry on television. But anyways,
Turned into a really weird show.
it would.
Just
We're getting a little too
both of us
emotional.
sobbing.
So we're at the end of our time. Where can people find you and how can they connect to you out there?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, send a request to connect. I'll always accept it. Feel free to send me a message. And yeah,
Everybody get out there and connect to Allie. She is awesome and she is looking to build her network and you will not regret it. So go out there and connect and say hi. Allie, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been great to catch up with you and talk.
likewise. It's been fun.
And I will see you out there in LinkedIn land and all you other viewers out there. Catch you next time. Thanks.